Right, so welcome back to the software section of the podcast, and as always we're going to kick off with Ed and his album playlist and vinyl for the weekend.
Yeah, saving valuable time this podcast because album and vinyl are one and the same. I am afraid that there is some folk on the horizon here. This is an album by the Punch Brothers, who are not brothers, and there's more than two of them. But they are sort of semi-folk musicians, but the thing is that rather than mining the same techniques that everyone else has been doing since year dot, they've done some incredibly technically proficient and interesting things over the years. This album is called Hell on Church Street, and it is, I suppose, almost by their standards, conventional, and it's also unusual by their standards because it's a covers album. Not that necessarily. I mean, I profess to probably spend more time listening to these things than most sane people. I wasn't aware of some of the originals for these, but you know, it's easy enough to go back and see what the originals sounded like. It's just a breathtaking piece of music to listen to. They are astounding musicians. They're astoundingly clever. And there's an imagination and just an ability with this sort of content that very few other artists can get anywhere near, and it's worth the price of admission alone for the last track. They do a cover, and there's no way of saying this without sounding tragically sad, but they do a cover of the 1976 Gordon Lightfoot classic, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, which commemorates the 1975 sinking of a Great Lakes freighter with the entire crew on board. He read a magazine article and turned it into a really lovely song. They cover it in a way which does justice both to what the Punch Brothers do and to what Gordon Lightfoot did with his original. It is simply one of the best 5 minutes of music that I've listened to in an extremely long time. So even if you ignore the rest of the album because it's just a bit twee, have a listen to that because it's absolutely outstanding. I've listed this as the vinyl as well. Mine copy hasn't actually turned up yet. But Punch Brothers haven't put out a bad vinyl release in the entire time that they have been releasing music. And the lead singer before that was in a band called Nickel Creek. And their vinyl releases, as well as being spectacularly rare and sought after, are also reference quality pressing. So I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that this will be a fantastic piece of vinyl as well. So that kills two birds with one stone. If you're all finding this sort of, you know, guitars and violins a bit wholesome, playlist of the month is on Qobuz. It is the collected works of a Norwegian performer called Aurora, her full name Aurora Asknes, and she's an electronic musician of some repute and some quality. She is tremendously talented and she's churned out and she's incredibly productive. There's another album out this week. It is very good, but Qobuz has put all of her work, her sort of potted hits together in one single, relatively accessible playlist. I can, of course, put a link to that into the comments section, and you can turn it into whichever streaming service you happen to be listening to using the Soundies app. And it's well worth a listen because she is a very tiny lady with a comparatively small voice who makes enormous sounds. And some of those tracks are just outstanding. It's a really, really good listen and the complete diametric opposite of the album of the month. So see where you go from there.
Okay, well, I haven't had a chance to listen to them this week, Ed, but I will.
Yeah, I only put them out very, you know, no besmirchment on your part. I didn't make them public until comparatively recently. But yeah, I mean, as I say, I will, in new format, new ideas, I will try and be less obstinately weird with some of the recommendations going forward. But equally, I don't want to just bring to attention stuff which was already well and truly getting enough attention anyway. So it'll always be a balancing act, and we'll see what we can get squared away from there.
I always find new stuff when you recommend it, Ed, and it's not just on the podcast. My Skype sometimes lights up with some apps.
Well, I was just saying, hopefully the Aurora thing, for if you're just not up for covers of, you know, Canadian folk singers, then, you know, then hopefully the Aurora one will hit the mark. And it should be, I have high hopes for 22 being a good year for music, so we'll see where we go from there.